What's going on, everybody? My name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, today, I know it's about 24 hours late and probably people don't even care about it now, but I'm still going to talk about it. We got a Chicago Bulls and New York Knicks game reaction in which, in the mecca of basketball, Madison Square Garden, where the show goes on, ladies and gentlemen, just like Shawn Michaels himself, we put a stop to the show, called us the showstopper. We ended up beating the New York Knicks in a thrilling, end to a game, and a thrilling game in general, and overall, what a game, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I feel like even though it's a bit late, this game reaction, it's still such a great game to talk about. Both teams really showing what they're all about. Big runs being made in this game from both teams. Big plays being made in this game for both teams. Both teams looking to fight and push and try to get a victory. Obviously, the Knicks had a second night of a back-to-back, so that obviously played a factor. But them trying to push through that, it was such an entertaining game, filled with drama, filled with stories, but ultimately, when it's all said and done, filled with a Chicago Bulls victory. Great game from the Bulls. Let's talk a little bit about it in this video. But before we get any further, if you liked the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new. And let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls, their game today, and your player of the game, as we win this game by merely 1 point, 124 to 123. And again, some clutch as factors, plays happened in this game to seal the victory for the Chicago Bulls. But firstly, I need to address something I said in the injury update when I talked about the Bulls offense versus the Knicks defense and how that's how I thought this game was going to go, where the Knicks were going to swarm us defensively and the Bulls are going to try to shine offensively. I think when it's all said and done, I was wrong in that instance. The Knicks, I don't think played amazing defense. I think the Bulls smothered them in many ways offensively, just like the Knicks smothered us offensively. This was an offense versus an offense game. And with that being said, I got to give credit to the Knicks in that regard. They had a great, well-balanced game. But ultimately, I think where it went wrong for the Knicks is purely the fact that their defense is their credit. It's what they are known for, and they kind of went away from that in many ways. I mean, the Bulls have always been a sucky defensive team, and I think we were a sucky defensive team today. We allowed the Knicks to drop 123 points. We've done that with the majority of the teams that we have faced. They've dropped over 120 points. That's still a fact that I don't want to see in the near future with the Chicago Bulls, but you don't expect that from the Knicks every game. And maybe it was the second night of a back-to-back. Maybe it was the lack of energy they had, especially in the first half. Whatever you want to put it down to, the Knicks went away from what they are known for, and that is ultimately why, in my opinion, they lost the game. But when you turn to the Bulls, well, I have to give major credit to how the Bulls handled themselves in the clutch. And again, I've already talked about it before, but it brings up another perfect scenario to talk about it again. Even though we don't have DeMar DeRozan on this team, who was one of the clutchest players in the league, and is still proving to be the clutchest player, one of the clutchest players in the league as of now in the Sacramento Kings, you still learn so much from what DeMar DeRozan brought to you. So many games last season were played in the clutch, and when you have someone like DeMar DeRozan that can help build you out of something like that, guess what these Chicago Bulls players are going to do? They're going to learn from DeMar DeRozan. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're going to win every clutch game they ever face, but at least now they're not afraid of the moment. Guys like Kobe White, who had two big, plays in that timeout, making a big three and getting the three-point play. That afro went to good use, ladies and gentlemen, because he ended up getting 3 free throws out of it. It was a fantastic time for Kobe White, and the Bulls were able to kind of get on top because of that and stuff of that nature. But stuff like that probably wouldn't happen if you don't learn from someone like DeMar DeRozan, who puts you in clutch situations night in and night out. So now this Bulls team isn't afraid. Kobe ain't afraid. Pat ain't afraid. Guys like Levine and Vucevic, they ain't afraid. This team seems to work well under pressure and seems to work well in the clutch more times than not. And I got to give credit to the mentality of this Bulls team for doing that. And they put on one hell of a show. Now, I guess questions need to be asked about that. At least from what I've heard, a lot of people are complaining that it wasn't a foul on Kobe White and stuff of that nature. People might want to ask what I think about that situation. Look, I think it's a difficult assessment in terms of the 3-point foul. But put it this way. Josh Hart was massively aggressive trying to defend that shot. And I think, personally, when you play that aggressive in that sort of situation, when you're in that sort of, I guess, you're that close to Kobe White, and there was contact, whether it was just the afro or not, contact is still contact. When you put yourself in that situation, you're forcing the referee to make a call that he may not want to make, and he made the call. And at the end of the day, I don't really blame anybody for that except for Josh Hart, who was very, very aggressive on that, I guess, defense and trying to cover that three-point shot. I would say too aggressive at that point in time, but ultimately, it's a game of basketball, and some calls are made, some calls are missed. I think ultimately, the vast majority of the time, the game I thought was called fairly. Maybe that was a really harsh call for the Knicks. I personally disagree. I think that is the right call. And I think when you're playing that aggressively on defense, you put yourself in that situation to get that call. And with no timeout and no challenge, the Knicks kind of shot themselves in the foot there in many ways. But you also got to give credit to the defensive work of Patrick Williams in that final effort. Now, look, let's not pretend that we were a couple of swirls away from the Knicks winning that game. I mean, it was that close. In many ways, looking back at that shot over and over and over again, I don't understand how that shot didn't fall for the Knicks. I really don't. It looked like everything was right except for the actual finish. It just swirled out. It wasn't meant to be for New York in many ways. I'm not going to sit here and bash the Knicks and say they played horrible. I did send a nice photo. It was probably at the start of the video of Shawn Michaels switching music to the Knicks, and that was pretty funny. I had a great time making that one. But yeah, ultimately, I think the Knicks are going to be a heck of a team, and I still believe that. And with the Bulls, it's nice to get a win over, in my opinion, a very formidable side and one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. Put it this way, we are 5-7 right now, and we are 6th in the Eastern Conference. The East is so bad this year, ladies and gentlemen. So when you get a team like the Knicks, who I think are going to be probably top 2 in the Eastern Conference this year when it's all said and done, it feels nice to get a victory over them. It feels nice to compete against teams like the Cavs, who we do have in a couple of hours' time as well. So I give credit. In terms of the balanced scoring with this Bulls team, I mean, let's just take a look at some of the scoring that this team provided for us. Zach LaVine dropping a 31 point and 8 assist night. Patrick Williams having his best game of the season with 18 points and a big defensive stop. Vucevic once again being very productive with 19 points and 11 rebounds. Kobe White making some big shots with 22 points in the end, a big second half. Giddey didn't necessarily do much on the scoring end, but obviously plays a factor in how we play. And then Ayo Dosunmu with a massive 16 points off the bench, ultimately really carried that bench, because outside of Ayo, the bench really didn't do much whatsoever. So yeah, ultimately quite happy with how the scoring went and how balanced it was between the starters and Ayo Dosunmu off the bench. Again, I can't complain with how this game truly went. And with that being said, to kind of end things off, my player of the game is Zach LaVine. I don't think there's any question. I did recently see a comment, I'm not sure where it was, I think it might have been from a Chicago Bulls Central video, basically saying Zach LaVine carried the team, essentially. Now, 31 points and 8 assists is definitely a big night for Zach LaVine, but I think that's a big discredit to everybody else that played a factor in that game. I mean, Vooch had a double-double. Patrick Williams, big defensive stop and 18 points. Kobe White was the clutch factor in the game. There were so many performances that went on from so many guys. It's hard to narrow it down to one person, but when you look at the grand scope of the game, Zach LaVine did have the best game, so that's why I will give him the player of the game, but I wouldn't go as far as to say he carried the team in a sense. I think everybody played their role, and Zach LaVine as a scorer and even a playmaker today, or I should say yesterday, got the job done. So fair play to Zach LaVine. Yeah, look, I guess we'll see what happens against Cleveland in a couple of hours' time. Hopefully, we can end that undefeated streak. They are now 13-0. They are truly becoming the Undertaker and just going on a massive streak. They might head to 21-0. Who the heck knows what's going on with Cleveland? But let's hope we could be the ones to be the streak breakers and break what is a massive streak right now in the NBA. Who knows? But yeah, look, it's been a rough couple of days for me, and I hope I made this video justice. I hope I did it justice. But yeah, it's been very difficult. So this is why the video is also out late today as well. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to go get some rest. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care, and peace.